Hi, welcome to Creepy Crime Cases. Today, we will be covering one of the most horrifying cases that claimed the life of an innocent child. I want to personally welcome you to today's episode. Thank you for your time. I will be seeing you at the end. A struggling single mom accepts help from a seemingly kind stranger at a discount store. Hours later, her daughter vanishes from a crowded Walmart, only to be found lifeless in a creek the next morning. The monster responsible? A registered sex offender with a 19-page rap sheet, released from jail just 3 weeks earlier. This isn't fiction. It's the nightmare that unfolded in Jacksonville, Florida, on June 21, 2013. Cherish Lily Periwinkle entered the world on a festive day, December 24, 2004, in the bustling city of Jacksonville, Florida. Her birth on Christmas Eve brought a momentary glow of happiness to her parents, Rain Periwinkle and Billy Giroux, though their relationship was far from stable. Rain, who worked as an exotic dancer at the time, and Billy, a sailor in the U.S. Navy, had met briefly, resulting in a one-night encounter that led to Cherish's conception. They never married, and what began as a fleeting connection quickly devolved into a protracted and acrimonious custody battle that would define much of Cherish's short life. Court documents from Duval County reveal that the dispute started in earnest around 2007, when Billy sought formal paternity and child support arrangements, only to face resistance and counterclaims from Rain. These battles were not just about finances but delved into allegations of neglect, instability, and differing parenting philosophies, creating an environment of uncertainty for young Cherish. From the outset, Cherish's family dynamics were fraught with challenges. Billy Giroux, stationed in California after his naval service, claimed he was unaware of his daughter's existence until she was about 3 years old, which delayed his involvement and fueled resentment. Once paternity was established, he pursued custody, arguing that Rain's lifestyle and living conditions were unsuitable. Reports from the Florida Department of Children and Families, DCF, indicate multiple investigations into Rain's home, starting as early as 2006. One incident involved daycare workers reporting that Rain was 3 hours late picking up Cherish, leading to the child being dropped off at a homeless shelter where the family was residing. Another probe in April 2006 noted concerns about Rain shaking Cherish forcefully when the toddler cried excessively, though no formal abuse findings were substantiated at the time. These DCF interactions painted a picture of a mother struggling with poverty, housing instability, and emotional strain, often relying on shelters and assistance programs to make ends meet. Billy, on the other hand, presented a more stable front after relocating to California with a new wife. A court-appointed evaluator in April 2010 conducted a thorough assessment, describing the case as one of the most difficult they had handled. The report acknowledged imperfections in both parents but recommended that Cherish live primarily with her father, citing concerns over Rain's history of unstable relationships and potential exposure to inappropriate environments. It highlighted instances where Cherish contracted head lice, which Billy attributed to Rain's negligence, and disputes over clothing and general care. Despite this recommendation, the custody arrangement remained contentious, with Cherish spending most of her time with her mother in Florida. Billy maintained visitation rights, including summer vacations, and Cherish was scheduled to fly to California the day after her abduction in 2013, a trip that symbolized the ongoing tug-of-war between her parents. Amid these familial storms, Cherish emerged as a beacon of light, as described by those who knew her. Her father, Billy Giroux, often spoke of her infectious joy, recalling how she had the biggest smile on her face every time you saw her. He envisioned a bright future for her, believing she possessed the potential to excel in any pursuit she chose. Cherish's cheerful demeanor masked the underlying turmoil, but glimpses into her life reveal a child caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts. Reports from family members and court records suggest she was affectionate and resilient, forming bonds despite the instability. Her younger sisters, born to Rain and different fathers, added to the household dynamics, creating a blended family environment that, while loving in moments, was strained by financial hardships and legal battles. The custody disputes escalated over the years, with accusations flying both ways. Rain alleged Billy was absentee and inconsistent with support, while Billy countered that Rain's choices, including relationships with men like her boyfriend Aaron Pearson, posed risks. A 2009 DCF investigation involved Pearson, noting concerns about domestic issues, though again, no conclusive abuse was found. These repeated interventions underscored a system struggling to balance parental rights with child welfare, often leaving Cherish in limbo. By 2013, the battles had simmered but not resolved, with Billy pushing for more time and Rain retaining primary custody. Cherish's story, before the tragedy, was one of a child navigating a fragmented family landscape. Her birth into poverty and conflict set the stage for vulnerabilities that would later be exploited. Interviews with family post-tragedy reveal the profound regret and grief, with Billy lamenting the lost opportunities to protect her. Rain, in her own statements, expressed the daily pain of loss, compounded by public scrutiny over her decisions that fateful night. The background of instability, while not directly causative, highlights how socioeconomic pressures and familial discord can create openings for predators like Smith to insert themselves. In retrospect, Cherish's early years reflect broader societal issues: inadequate support for single mothers, the inefficiencies of custody courts, and the long-term impacts of parental discord on children. The evening of June 21, 2013, began as a modest outing for Rain Periwinkle and her 3 daughters, including 8-year-old Cherish, at a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. The family was grappling with severe financial constraints, living on the edge of poverty, which limited their ability to purchase even basic necessities like clothing. Rain, a single mother, often relied on discount stores to stretch her budget, and this particular trip was no exception. It was in this unassuming setting, a store filled with everyday bargains, that they crossed paths with Donald James Smith, a 56-year-old man whose seemingly benevolent approach would set off a chain of events leading to tragedy. Smith, born on September 4, 1956, presented himself as a kind stranger, noticing the family's struggle at the checkout. According to Rain's later testimony, he overheard their conversation about unaffordable items and interjected with an offer that seemed like a godsend. He claimed to possess a $150 gift card for Walmart and proposed using it to buy the clothes they needed. This gesture appeared altruistic, especially to a mother desperate for help. Rain, exhausted from managing her young children and financial woes, saw no immediate red flags. Smith's demeanor was calm and engaging, masking his extensive history as a registered sex offender with decades of predatory behavior. Details from police reports and trial testimony reveal how Smith carefully cultivated trust. He engaged in small talk, learning about the family's situation, and positioned himself as a helpful figure. Cherish, described as cheerful and trusting, likely responded positively, further easing any hesitations. The Dollar General clerk later recalled the interaction as ordinary, with no overt signs of danger. Smith's van, a white 1998 Dodge with Florida plate BCBK32, was parked outside, and he invited the family to ride with him to Walmart, framing it as a convenient continuation of his generosity. This meeting was not random from Smith's perspective. Investigations showed he had been released from jail just 3 weeks prior, following a misdemeanor plea in a case involving obscene communications with a child. His pattern of targeting vulnerable families, often in public spaces, aligned with previous offenses. In 1992, for instance, he had attempted to lure teenage girls into his van with similar promises. Here, the Dollar General provided the perfect hunting ground: low-income shoppers, minimal security, and an air of normalcy. Rain's decision to accept the offer stemmed from desperation. Court records from her custody battles with Billy Giroux highlight her ongoing poverty, including stints in homeless shelters. In a 2018 interview, she reflected on the moment, saying she wanted to believe in kindness amid her hardships. The family piled into the van, unaware that Smith was scanning for opportunities. Surveillance from Dollar General, though limited, corroborated the initial encounter as non-confrontational. The drive to Walmart was short, but it allowed Smith to further ingratiate himself. He chatted about everyday topics, perhaps mentioning his own fabricated family struggles to build rapport. However, Smith's intentions were far darker, as evidenced by his later jailhouse confessions where he admitted targeting Cherish specifically. Upon arriving at the Walmart on Lem Turner Road in Jacksonville, the Periwinkle family and Donald Smith began what appeared to be a routine shopping trip. The store's bright lights and crowded aisles provided a false sense of security as they selected clothing and other items, funded by Smith's gift card. For roughly 2 hours, the group navigated the departments, with Cherish and her sisters showing excitement over new outfits. Rain Periwinkle, relieved by the assistants, allowed the interaction to continue, unaware of Smith's escalating predatory intent. Trial testimony later revealed that Smith used this time to observe Cherish closely, building a facade of friendliness while plotting his next move. As the clock approached 10:30 p.m., Smith shifted the dynamic with a new offer: cheeseburgers from the in-store McDonald's as a treat for the tired children. He specifically asked if Cherish could help him carry the food, a request that Rain, after hours of seemingly benign interaction, approved. However, Walmart surveillance cameras captured the truth. Smith and Cherish bypassed the McDonald's entirely, heading straight for the exit. The footage, played repeatedly in court, shows Cherish skipping innocently beside Smith, her orange fruit-patterned dress visible, marking the final public sighting of the 8-year-old alive. This abduction moment was swift and subtle, exploiting the store's late-hour bustle. No one intervened as they left, with shoppers and staff oblivious to the danger. Smith's van waited in the parking lot, and once inside, the horror began. Forensic evidence presented at trial indicated Cherish was bound in the back, assaulted, and strangled, her body later dumped in a nearby creek. The delay in realizing the abduction, Rain waited about 30 minutes before alerting authorities, stemmed from her initial trust, compounded by exhaustion and the promise of food. Rain's 911 call, played in court, conveyed her growing panic, pleading for help and expressing fears of what might happen to Cherish. This event spurred discussions on retail security and Amber Alert protocols. The 5-hour delay in issuing the alert drew criticism, as timely dissemination might have mobilized the public sooner. Cherish sisters, left with their mother, witnessed the unfolding chaos, adding to the family's trauma. Smith's calm demeanor disarmed Rain, who later testified through tears about her regret. The abduction's efficiency, mere minutes from offer to exit, demonstrates how predators capitalize on momentary lapses. The search for Cherish Periwinkle intensified as the night wore on, with Rain's 911 call around 11 p.m. triggering police response. The call, laced with desperation, included Rain's fears that Smith might harm her daughter, a recording that later evoked strong emotions in court. Law enforcement issued an Amber Alert at approximately 4 a.m., a delay attributed to verification processes but criticized for potentially costing valuable time. Volunteers and K-9 units scoured Jacksonville, focusing on areas near the Walmart. Dawn on June 22 brought discovery. Retired K-9 officer Charlie Wilkie located Cherish's body in a shallow creek behind Highlands Baptist Church, about 10 miles from the store. The site was remote, with Cherish hidden under bricks, cement blocks, and branches in an attempt to conceal the crime. Wilkie's testimony described the scene as haunting. Autopsy findings by Dr. Valerie Rao detailed the brutality. severe sexual assault causing distortion of anatomy, strangulation via ligature taking 3 to 5 minutes, and additional injuries like bruises and cuts. Rao's court testimony, interrupted by tears, emphasized Cherish's suffering, with photos showing tracheal bruising and eye hemorrhaging. DNA evidence links Smith directly, his semen found on and in the body. This discovery exposed systemic gaps in offender monitoring. Smith's recent release and proximity to schools fueled outrage over civil commitment failures. The creek location, near where a witness spotted his van, confirmed the timeline. Family reactions were profound. Billy Giroux, awaiting Cherish's visit, learned of her death mid-morning, compounding his grief with custody regrets. Donald James Smith's arrest unfolded rapidly following the abduction report. Police, armed with Rain's description of the white van and suspect, broadcast alerts. By 9 a.m. on June 22, officers spotted the vehicle on Interstate 95, initiating a pursuit that ended with Smith pulling over and surrendering peacefully. Body camera footage showed him wet and muddy, consistent with disposing of Cherish's body in the creek. Smith's status as a registered sex offender was immediately apparent. Released May 31, 2013, after 14 months for misdemeanors, his history included lewd acts, attempted kidnappings, and impersonation offenses. This quick identification highlighted his notoriety in local law enforcement circles. Interrogation revealed Smith's evasive responses, but evidence mounted: DNA matches, van fibers, and witness sightings. He claimed innocence initially but later confessed in jail calls, blaming Cherish. Public reaction was swift, with demands for accountability. Smith's calm demeanor during arrest contrasted his violent acts, fueling debates on rehabilitation versus incarceration for predators. His criminal trajectory started early, at age 21 in 1977, with an arrest in Duval County for lewd and lascivious acts before a child under 16. This involved exposing himself, leading to a 1-year jail sentence. Upon release, he was placed on probation and labeled a mentally disordered sex offender, requiring treatment. However, compliance issues arose, culminating in a 1981 probation violation for unspecified breaches, resulting in 14 months imprisonment from 1982 to 1983. Smith's history informed later civil commitment attempts, underscoring the need for early, aggressive treatment. Smith's 1992 conviction stemmed from attempting to lure 2 13-year-old girls into his van with promises of modeling jobs, coupled with providing obscene materials. Sentenced to 5.5 years, this marked escalation from exhibitionism to physical enticement. Prison evaluations revealed deep-seated pedophilic tendencies. This failure allowed Smith's freedom, leading to Cherish's murder. Hearings in 2024 revisited this, with psychologists calling the 2006 DCF assessment a mistake that could have prevented tragedy. In 2003, Smith was also convicted of non-sexual crimes, trafficking stolen property and falsifying pawnshop information, serving 2.5 years. This brief incarceration did little to address his core issues. His 2009 arrest involved impersonating a DCF worker to make obscene calls to a child, pleading to misdemeanors and serving 14 months. Smith's trial began in February 2018. Prosecutors presented damning evidence: CCTV, crime scene photos, and autopsy images showing severe injuries to Cherish's vagina, anus, and throat, with skin removed to reveal deep bruising around the trachea. The defense, led by Julie Schlacks, fought to suppress these photos, arguing they were too graphic and would shock and inflame the jury's passions, outweighing any probative value. But the judge allowed them, and jurors were left in tears. Schlacks urged the panel to focus on the law, not raw emotions. Smith was found guilty of first-degree murder and sexual battery. In May 2018, he was sentenced to death. In April 2021, he filed for appeal, but the Florida Supreme Court upheld the conviction and sentence. Smith sought a new trial, reiterating the photo issue and claiming ineffective counsel. In January 2024, an evidentiary hearing was held over 2 days, focusing on jury selection and past evaluations, but in May 2024, the judge denied the motion for a new trial. As of August 2025, Smith remains on death row, his appeals exhausted for now. For Cherish's family, no verdict brings true closure. In a 2018 interview with the Law and Crime Network, Billy Giroux teared up remembering his daughter. "She had a good life ahead of her, but we'll never know now." He called the death sentence insufficient. In his words, he said, "This is not justice. He's been living for 5 years after the death of my daughter, and he's going to be living until the death penalty is done. She didn't get that option. She was 8.5 years old, and she was taken away that night. I don't think there is a way to have justice in something like this." He supported the penalty in some cases, but noted Smith, now in his late 60s, might die of old age before execution. The murder of Cherish Periwinkle exposes gaping holes in our justice system, from failed civil commitments to predators living near schools. It's a scary reminder. Trust your instincts and advocate for stronger protections. Thanks for watching this deep dive. If you found it informative, smash that like button, subscribe for more true crime, and share with a friend. I will be seeing you on our next episode.